ParaTruth.
What's going on, ParaTruthers? Welcome to another episode of ParaTruth Reborn. My name is Justin.
And I'm Eric.
And this is a pre-recorded episode on 107.7 FM New Orleans and United Public Radio Network.
And tonight we're super excited. We've got a very awesome guest coming on with us, Ella Djalili-Thain. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Ella is a Chinese medicine student who has been trained in the art of channeling life force energy, Qi, to perform healing on physical, emotional, and spiritual levels. After a deeply profound spiritual awakening in 2021, she developed a strong interest in all things consciousness and began practicing meditation and Qi-Gong to enhance her clairsentience, clairvoyance, telepathy, and astral projection abilities to explore different perspectives of reality. So without further ado, let's go to the line with Ella. Ella, welcome to ParaTruth Radio.
Thank you. It's so nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's very nice to meet you
Thanks for having
too.
me on.
I found you on TikTok and I've loved all of your videos, and something that really drew me to you, and especially to have you on the show, is because whenever you're doing a Qi healing, I feel everything that you're doing, which isn't always the case when I'm seeing people do healings on TikTok or whatever. So it really drew me to you. I read your bio, but why don't you tell us a little bit how you got into doing all of this?
Oh, wow. Okay. Do you want the long version or the short version?
Long version is fine.
Okay, let's go for it. All right. Okay, so a couple of years ago, I had a really profound, intense spiritual awakening. And before then, I had no time for spirituality. I was a complete atheist. I was a law student. I was very focused on the rational, material, third dimensional world. I had no time for any of it. And then, so often as in terms of like spiritual awakenings go, I went through a trauma. And I went to see my acupuncturist, who I'd been seeing since I was like 8 years old. So obviously Spirit knew that this was an important relationship that I was going to have, because he's turned into my mentor. But yeah, I went to see my acupuncturist. And as I was receiving acupuncture, he said, "Hey, can I do an alternate type of energy work on you?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's go for it." And he sat at the end of the table. I was lying. I'm just like, chilling with my needles in. And he just put his hands by my feet. He wasn't even touching me. And I felt this energy like move quite viscerally through my body, and it settled in my stomach, And I was like, what the hell is going on? And it was quite intense because it was trauma, so you're working it out. And then it just dissipated. And I was like, that isn't how the universe works, man. You didn't even touch me. What's going on? Pardon me. And then that just started a rabbit hole, right? Because I need to know how things work, and I need to know the truth of like things. So, I went back and I'm like, can I have books? Can I have information? And that just started the descent, the ascent, whatever you want to call it, into spirituality, into learning about consciousness, into learning about who and what we are and what we're doing here, and why we're doing all these things and what we're going through. And I started meditating, and I started practicing Qi-Gong. And then I had a massive spiritual awakening. Like, I started hearing and feeling my guides. I started seeing other people's energy. I started being able to like read people. I started remembering my past lives. I started being able to project my consciousness from my body and explore multidimensional reality. And something that my guides kept saying was, you're supposed to share. You're supposed to share what you have. And I was like, no way. I'm a law student. I don't believe in any of this stuff. So it was a real war that was going on in my brain. That, you know, that one side is very like spiritual and like, oh yeah, it's healer, la la la. And another side was like, absolutely not. You know? And that's still going on, to be honest. I haven't quite merged those two together, but you know. And I started posting on TikTok just about what I learned. And you know, it took me a while. It took about a year of just like practice of doing qigong, of learning from my teacher, my mentor. And yeah, and then off it went, and now I'm studying Chinese medicine, and this is my job, which is a very strange thing to say, but it's wonderful. It's not where I thought I'd be. I thought I'd be a family lawyer by now, you know.
Right.
Here we are. I much prefer this, talking to you, Justin.
Well, now,
But yeah,
so
yeah.
what was it like for your friends and family to see the drastic change in you?
Oh, yeah. So it was quite difficult for my mother, to be honest, because like she grew up with quite intense, Jesus-loving aunties. Let's just put it like that, you know.
Mm.
And because my father passed away when I was very young, she had no time for it. And that's why I was brought up in a very like atheist household. But at the same time, she has a great deal of respect for like ancient Eastern mysticism and Buddhism and acupuncture. Like obviously I've been getting acupuncture since I was a kid. So in some ways she was okay with it. In other ways, I learned to only relay what was necessary. And at the beginning, I was very excited. I was like, everything is love. It doesn't matter. You know, I was going through all these like massive downloads of information were coming to me and everything. But people have to ask you first before you start expressing it. So most of my friends and my family don't really know unless they've asked. Or unless I was at the very beginning stages and I was very excited and I was just like telling them stuff. But yeah, like a couple of my housemates were just like, okay, man. You know, I had a housemate who has a degree in physics, you know, and he was very much, but you know, it's it is how it is. So yeah, I keep it fairly quiet unless people ask me first, basically.
Okay.
It's funny that you bring up the whole physics thing, because we have had people on, scientists even, who say, you know, physics really does explain a lot of this. They just don't want to admit it.
Oh yeah. Quantum mechanics, quantum entanglements. When you get down to the very atomic level, there is a massive merging of ancient mysticism and you know, modern day quantum physics. I got ChatGPT to write me a great essay about it once. That was fantastic. But yes, like this fundamental building block of reality, Qi, which is what I'm learning about in my classes, like moves throughout everything around us, and everything around us isn't even like solid matter. It's just like Qi interacting with energy, which turns it into physical objects. And then there's yin and yang, the opposing. Yeah, no, it's I'm very excited to see the next like kind of 5-10 years as they make more discoveries and start putting more things together. But yeah, I think we're close. But yeah, physics is fascinating.
So what's the difference between Qi-Gong and like Reiki or Kundalini? What's the difference between all of those compared to Qi-Gong?
Okay, so Qi-Gong, I honestly, they're pretty much the same thing. They're pretty much the same thing. There's just different philosophies. There's different ways of understanding it. There's different ways of explaining it. So Chinese medicine is very much based on Confucianism, on Taoism, on qigong. And qigong, qi is very hard to explain. It actually isn't translated from the Chinese. And we learned about like the Chinese character for qi, as in like, it's the sun shining on the water, and then it changes the water, which transforms into steam, which transforms into clouds, which turns into rain. So it's the everything. It's the fundamental underlying life force energy that animates all things, including in energy pathways throughout your body, every single cell, but also everything around you. Yeah, the phone that I'm speaking to right now, the tea that I'm drinking, everything is qi. There's different vibrational frequencies of it. And pardon me, I'm still getting over a nasty flu. So if I cough, I do. But yeah, no, so Reiki, Qi being like the Japanese word for life force energy, right? It's the same thing.
Okay.
Kundalini is see, I don't know a lot about Kundalini, so I don't feel I can speak on it, but it's the energy in your spine, right? It's the serpent. So I'm clearing all the energy centers. In my classes, this is the conception vessel, and on the back it's the governing vessel. But it's like straight lines of energy. And obviously we have our chakras coming through here. So once these are all aligned, so to speak, we can reach very beautiful states of consciousness and connect with the all that is, or the Wu Chi, the infinite consciousness.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, on your TikTok, you perform a lot of healing work for your followers. Some of my favorite is the anxiety relief and the brain massage. I love the brain massage.
Oh, that's awesome.
But my question is, like, what guides you to decide on what energy healing to perform on a daily basis?
Oh yeah. So the thing is, I'm very intuitively led. When I do my videos, nobody sees this, but I go through a lot of preparation. So I do 20-30 minutes of qigong to balance myself, to become the best like channel for energy that I can be, and then meditation as well, just to calm and quiet the mind. And I connect with my guides, who are I connect with various guides. And then I channel the energy, and the hand movements, very intuitive. I have a very vague idea about what I want to do. So if it's for anxiety, if it's for calming, then this will go to specific meridian pathways, acupuncture points to calm anxiety. And that's your heart and your pericardium line, probably stomach, spleen, but it's going to be different for different people, because qi is intelligent. It will go where it needs to go for your greatest good. And if I'm doing like brain massage, that will calm all the points on the head. Like, you have so many acupuncture points on your head, on your face, so I'm just stimulating those energetically.
Okay.
But with help from my guides who know what they're doing. Oh my God, they're great. But yeah, I'm just the channel. Half the time I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just very much giving over to let them do what they want, which is very it's a weird thing to say, but it's true.
Right. Well, now, so something else that you always do every episode video is you ask for that before performing. You always say, make sure you're consenting. A lot of the discussions you've had with other people, psychics, mediums, even people who practice various types of spiritual crafts, they say that they can project energy on people without their person's permission. So is that something that you do just because you feel like it's necessary, or is it actually necessary in order for the energy healing to work?
Oh, it's absolutely necessary for the energy healing to work.
Mm.
It's the number one rule, really, that I was taught, is you have to have people's permission to perform energy work on them. That's just the way I was taught. I have seen other people like put consent into the healing, which I find like quite fascinating. But for me, you are your own being. And I'm my own being, and you have free will. Okay. And before I impose energies on you that you may not be ready for or you want, okay, you have to say yes, please. Or, you know, oh, I'm curious, or just that open state of mind. But it's like other things that you need to be consent for. You need to be ready and willing, because healing is very hard work. Healing can be really like difficult or traumatic. Like I've had a lot of people, you know, say, "Oh, I'm crying," or this has gotten quite an emotional response, or you know, I'm in pain, or you know, some people get like sudden headaches because like qi is suddenly starting to flow where it hasn't flown before. So yeah, no, it is a big thing with me, and I think that does instill trust, especially on a platform like TikTok. Man, you've got a few minutes, okay? And if my energy work is quite like we go straight into it. It can be quite intense, and I like to give people a bit of a warning, because you know, you're scrolling, you see a cat video, and you might be on the bus somewhere, and suddenly you're like, let's solve some PTSD, and then you're like, oh my god, what's going on? So I like to give people a bit of a warning before we just like jump into it. Yeah.
Well, something I really love about your videos is that you giggle, or you enjoy what you're doing, and it's almost like you're watching yourself, so you react to yourself. So that always gets me every time when you giggle or laugh or something. But something that I always see, I'm sure all of your followers do, is the visceral reaction that you have when you're doing energy work. And I know there's going to be those skeptics out there that say, you know, well, she's not doing it to one person, how she can be feeling anything, or you know, you're doing it over the internet, how can you really be feeling anything? So I would love for you to kind of explain that part of it, especially doing it on a platform like TikTok.
Oh yeah. No, first of all, I love having fun with it. I don't think it always has to be super serious. You know, you can talk to people. And I like doing that. That's just my way of doing it. Oh yeah, okay. All right. So this is really hard to understand from a third dimensional perspective, the perspective that we're in terms of like transmitting that energy. But basically, qi operates outside of what we understand as space-time. Okay. So, you know, 1, 2, 3 dimensions, space and time are a thing, and we're walking through linear time going la-di-da. But 4th dimension to 9th dimension, these things don't really, they're just different frequencies. Okay. The most important thing is the intent and the consent. So I intend to send healing energy. Qi can be recorded behind a camera. There you go. And as long as I intend to send the energy and you consent to receive the energy, the healing will happen. In terms of how it works, so we're all made up of qi, fundamentally, and also separation is kind of an illusion. We're actually all like one being in the higher frequencies of reality. So I attract certain energetic frequencies that are probably more ready to receive that kind of energy. You come across me on a TikTok, you're like, oh, this seems fun, I'm going to stay. and you receive energy healing. And this is overseen by the universe, by my spiritual guides, by your spiritual guides. So it's a whole process. But yes, operates outside of space-time. You come across it when you're supposed to come across it. And yeah, it's a strange thing, but there you go.
Well, no, when it comes to energies and frequencies, and we know that it's scientifically proven that the earth and various things on earth vibrate at different frequencies. Is one thing that we often come across are people, and ourselves included, where we feel certain emotions or certain energy frequencies based on certain events happening. So something like a solar storm, which is happening today in our atmosphere, but also like solar eclipses, lunar eclipse, things like that. Well, one, have you seen any of those type of things affect the way your energy performs as you're trying to heal people? And if so, in what way, negative or positive, does that affect you?
Yeah, okay. So the planets, this planet particularly, but like most planets are alive. They have their own consciousnesses. And the way that they all interact with each other makes a difference to us. There are vast, like, energetic frequencies that come into alignment when the moon is closer or further away, or Mars is in the right spot. And to be honest, I don't know much about astrology. It's fascinating, but it's not one of my areas of expertise. But there is a huge difference in, say, during a full moon, as opposed to, waning moon. And it seems like the veil between this dense physical reality and the other frequencies is much thinner, and the energy can be more powerful depending on the particular cycle that the earth is going through. So the earth is like a living organism, so to speak, and we're all cells. We're all individual cells. We're all doing stuff. Weird, but yeah, so she's going through her own cycles, and we're kind of just toddling along, man. We're just surviving. We're just going through it. But yes, it is. Yeah, that if you think about it in terms of like manifesting, if you want to bring something into your life, it's usually much better to do it during a full moon, and then like contemplative, it's the waning moon, or it could be the other way around. Things just happen. But yes, planets. Wow. Yeah.
Well, something you brought up before Eric's question was that, it's our guides that bring us to each other, especially on a platform like TikTok. Now, Eric and I have had this conversation. I've had this conversation with a couple of other people about it being more the algorithm than it being something spiritual in nature. One thing I can attest to, though, is for a while I wasn't seeing many of your videos, and then all of a sudden they started popping through my feed again. So I'm like, no, it's not just coincidence. It's not just the algorithm. I obviously needed the healing again for you to be coming across my feed again.
Yeah, it's a weird interplay, isn't it? The old algorithm. Yeah. I think people can really get twisted up about it. Particularly, like, I do a few curse videos. I mean, we can talk about what curses are if you want, but a lot of people, if they stay for something like that, because it grabs them, and then they see more curse videos, then they wonder if they've been cursed, and it freaks them out. I don't do as many videos like that anymore for that reason. And I think in that case, the algorithm can kind of mess with your mind, but everything happens for a reason, I found, even if we can't understand why in this perspective. So someone who's seeing like a lot of curse videos may have absorbed a lot of negative energy, or they're just going through a hard time. and spirit, the universe is saying, oh, they need some healing energy.
Mhm.
Okay, so you'll see a lot of healing, and that will help with whatever is going on, whether or not it's a curse. People are drawn to curses. People are like, oh no. Most of the time they're not that bad. It's fairly chill, unless it's other things. But so at a higher level, at a frequency where our guides are working from, which is from fifth density or fifth dimension, they can see what's going on. They go, oh, okay, so maybe that'll grab their attention, and then it'll hold it, and then they'll see a few more things, and suddenly they'll find that this toxic cluster of energy has been massively dissipated just from a little bit of energy work. But like your third dimensional self is going, oh man, I've been cursed. Like, who's cursing me? It's no fun. Don't do that. Yeah.
Well, most people don't realize that we're cursing each other more times than we realize, though, too.
All the time, man. All the time. You know, you flip someone off in traffic and you just send a little thing of negative energy.
Right.
You get into an argument with, I don't know, your boss at work, and you're like, oh, I hope you trip over. That's the thing. These thought forms are energy, right? And energy can be sent. I'd say around like 5 to 10% of the population is psychically powerful enough to send that negative energy to you. Like, and it's very good spiritual hygiene, really, just to get to the end of the day and cleanse your auric field of anything that you might have picked up.
Mhm.
But also, if you're compassionate, if you're empathetic, walking through a crowded place full of stressed people, if you're walking past people in suffering, homeless people, oh my God, you absolutely absorb like really, really dense frequencies. And that's just part and parcel of being on this planet at this point in its history. There are a lot of very dense energies, a lot of suffering. And if you're a compassionate soul, you absorb that stuff. I know I do. I know I do. And you coming home at the end of the day, you need to wash that off. You need to cleanse that off you. So it's just good practice. But also, yeah, I mean, we send negative energy to each other all the time, not without even realizing it. Of course, there can be like ritualized things that you can do, and certain ingredients and everything, and you can send like energy to people, and that is more potent, and it can be extraordinarily damaging. One of my clients, oh my God, his grandfather was like a bit of a player, okay, a little bit of a player, and he got on the wrong side of a practitioner, and she cursed his whole family, and they had been beset with like tragedies for generations, you know. And I kind of like dove into it and healed it. Thankfully, it was within my capabilities to do so, but that was really complicated. It was really like messing with several energy centers and completely changing their perception of how they view themselves. And if you believe you're cursed, wow, you truly are. Like, we can be our own worst culprits here. But yeah, like very positive feedback from after that healing session. So like within a certain amount, I would say like all of these things can be healed because they're dense frequencies. And when they come into contact with higher vibrational energies, like the things that I channel, it can be kind of transmuted, it can be recycled. But yes, I mean, if you've got a practitioner who's like consistently sending you stuff and they can feel when you've cleansed yourself and then they just keep going, then that can be pretty intense. But most of the time, it's not that. And I do try and explain that to people, but yeah, it can be a bit scary.
Well, now, fear is probably one of the things that plagues humanity the most. It's one of the strongest feelings, you know, and I see people time and time again who think of negative thoughts, or they, you know, something negative happens on TV or whatever, and they're just like absorbed by it. You know, that's especially here in the US, you watch the news, you're not getting any lighthearted content. It's all just tragic. And I know so many people who are just depressed all the time. And the thing is, like, energy is very magnetic. So negative energy will always attract more negative energy. And positive energy, I mean, I guess it depends, but I find like positive energy is kind of like a cleansing energy. And so clean things often get dirty throughout the day, which is why you have to re-cleanse yourself at the end of the day. And it doesn't quite work, the opposite way. But when it comes to you like healing curses or people who have negative energies, I'd imagine some of these energies are both energy in and of itself, but also maybe negative entities who may bring on these energies. So do you ever find that when you're trying to help these people that you end up getting fight back from these energies or these entities that may be attached?
Oh, that's such a great question. Oh man. Okay, so yes, there are an incredible myriad of entities out there, like anything that pervades our human psyche collectively exists in the astral realm, and then some. All of these entities have varying levels of morality, and they also need to eat. And they see us and they say, fear provokes this like strangely delicious energetic reaction. And if we just prod that a little bit, yummy, basically. Or, for other reasons, like it's very hard to understand them sometimes because, we're just chugging along in our little third dimensional and we're not aware. Most of the time we're not aware. There are definitely like beings that will hone in on people who are suffering badly and just feed off of them, and that's nasty. But I have come across them. Most of the time they're fairly chill. Some of them have been pretty terrifying, but I've been able to kind of maneuver my way out of it. I don't want to toot my own horn here, but my higher self is pretty freaking terrifying. And when I'm in my astral form, so to speak, I kind of merge with her. And there's a certain amount of respect that goes on. The only client I've found who had like a jinn, like a genie, whatever you want to call them, that was harassing her like quite badly. I came across it with my astral self when I looked into her energy, and that was kind of the first time I've kind of met one-on-one. We had a little conversation. I basically said, look, are you harassing her for, I don't know, shits and giggles? And he was, yeah. I was like, can you stop, please? And he was like, yeah, all right. Off he went. It was weird. But yes, then there was like the follow-up, and that was about teaching her to raise her frequency so that he wouldn't be interested in her anymore. Because all of these, particularly entities that feed off of your fear, are just as lost as us. And once we raise our frequency, they can't find us anymore. They don't find us attractive as snacks. So what we can do is, if we ever come across them, people worry about like sleep paralysis demons or things like that. There's usually just lower level astral entities that want to have a chow down, or whatever other reason. If you greet them with respect, but firmly, and say, hey, thank you for the work you're doing, because I know you're integral to the wider forces of creation and destruction in the universe. I'm not scared of you, and I greet you with love. You're raising your frequency, and they won't have much interest in you, and they'll usually leave you alone. Usually. Yeah. But I mean, there are pretty Those are lower level. There are some there are other entities out there that are pretty terrifying. I remember once when I was first going through my awakening and becoming aware, there was this massive like serpent like creature in the clouds, and it started like looking at me and was like, "Oh, you know I exist." I'm like, "Yes, I do." "Oh God, you're kind of ominous." And I kind of just turned my attention away, and I just went on its way. And I was like, "Oh my God, that was a lot." So obviously this doesn't, it doesn't. Ugh. But if that happens, the best advice I can say is like, thank you for the work you're doing, because in the higher frequencies, good and evil, yeah, we're imposing our morality onto it, and morality is very variable and doesn't, good and bad. It's more of a pure dark and pure light, and you can't have one without the other. So you thank them and say, I know it's integral and the work you're doing is good, but I'm not interested and I'm not a good snack. And you just raise your frequency and you leave them be. That makes any sense?
It does.
So I've wanted to try this for a long time, astral projection. I know when we dream, there are times that we're astral projecting, and I know of other people that have done it, including yourself, but I've always been afraid of what might happen doing it. Is there anything you can say that would kind of alleviate those that are want to do it, but they're worried or afraid of doing it?
Okay, if you are afraid, don't do it. If you have fear, don't do it. Astral projection can be incredibly wonderful and meaningful, or it can be completely terrifying, depending on your state of mind. Because you tend to send yourself to places that match your frequency. So if you're able to like project your consciousness and you're still in a bit of a state of, you're a bit like freaked out, that's really hard for one. So like, congrats if you can, but you can go to pretty terrifying places. If you're after like a really solid Bible, if you like Journeys Out of the Body by Robert Monroe, absolute classic. When I first went to my teacher and I was like, I want to astral project, he was like, you read this first and then you can practice. So you need to work on like eliminating fear. And there are ways that you can do that. You can put yourself in a positive state of mind. You can cleanse your auric field of negative emotions, so to speak. You can surround yourself in protective, loving energy. You can attach a cord to your body so you can always find your way back, and you can ask for guides to help you explore the different frequencies that you find yourself in. And you can also ask to speak or interact with entities that are a similar vibrational frequency to you or higher. You can speak to whoever you want, really. You can interact with all sorts of interesting characters, and wow, it's so hard to explain. Like the conversations that you have or the places that you go, because again, time and space, man, they're not real. They're fake news. They're fake news.
Right.
Like I've been on journeys and like met wonderful beings, and it's felt like I've been there for many days, and then I come back to my body, it's been 25 minutes. I'm like, oh, man, that didn't just happen. Yes, it did. But Robert Monroe's like, he's wonderful. Like, if you're interested, start doing the Gateway Experience. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
Just, that will teach you the kind of state of mind, the kind of Zen meditative state of mind that you should be in to learn to separate your consciousness from your body. And then it's consistent practice and patience. it took me many months before I was able to do anything. Some people can just do it. My ex-girlfriend would be like, did I leave the oven on? I need to go and check. And she would just bloop and go and check and come back. No. I was like, oh, Jesus. All right. Whereas I'm like, oh man, I'm struggling through, you know, I'm 6 months in and I'm still getting there, but everyone can do it. It is possible for absolutely anyone. And yeah, just work on the fear, because Robert Monroe described some pretty terrifying situations where he basically felt trapped. He was out of his body, he couldn't find his way back, he was being harassed by all sorts of, you know, bits and pieces. I'm like, ooh, we can mess with him. You know, yeah. So I don't know. It can be wonderful. It can be extraordinary if you're ready. And your guides will usually let you be ready, or they'll say, maybe not.
Okay.
But yeah, the gateway experience.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I'll say. There's like 36 tapes. They're all incredible meditations. They will teach you about what you can do with your consciousness.
Okay.
Cool. So now, I mean, you've studied for a while now, since, was it 2021 is when you kind of started getting into it, right? And you've been pretty successful so far. What are your goals for the future here? Like, what is the next step? What do you want to expand on?
Oh, look, my guides have told me that this is just the beginning. That I'm still learning about how the universe works and the human body, which is the same thing. All humans are kind of microcosms of the universe. So I'm learning acupuncture right now. I'm a student, so I'll be an acupuncturist. And then they've told me that I'm going to spend a couple of years probably in some kind of Shaolin temple, like learning martial arts and the discipline there. And essentially my role is to be a messenger and a helper for anybody who is willing to listen, who wants to listen. And there are several options depending on how I spend my energy. I have a lot of fire, but I tend to burn out. So if I don't take care of myself, I'll get chronic fatigue and I'll be a little acupuncturist in Tasmania, and I'll be very happy. Or if I conserve my energy appropriately, I'll be, I don't know, someone nuts in about 10 years. That makes sense.
So we should reach out in 10 years and see where you're at.
Yeah, and I'll they say that probably 5 years of quite intensive study, I'll be able to manipulate the chi fields around objects and like freaking move them with my mind, man. So that's the goal. Okay, that's what I want to do. But it's about presenting irrefutable evidence that there is more than meets the eye down here, and getting more people interested in spirituality and awakening as many people as possible, because it's absolutely crucial right now that we become aware of how we're destroying ourselves, so that we survive climate change, etc., as much as possible.
Yeah.
Lol. Yeah. So it's I'm at the beginning. I'm still learning. Yeah.
All right, Ella. Well, it's about that time where we usually let our guests go. So I want to give you the chance where you can tell everybody where they can find you, all of your work.
Right. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. And it's been a pleasure talking to you. If you want to connect with me more, I'm on the old Clock app, TikTok. I have a website where I answer people's questions, which I don't think I included in the bio, but whatever, that's fine. I've got other socials, Instagram and Facebook. If you feel drawn to the work that I'm doing, then it would be a pleasure to meet you and help you in whatever way that I can. So yes, luck on the path, and I hope to see you soon.
All right, Ella, thank you for being on ParaTruth Radio.
It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Ella. As soon as we get the episode out, it'll probably be on Sunday. I will shoot you a link.
Okay, sounds good.
Have a good rest of your
All
day.
right.
Yeah, you too, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya.
All right, folks. That was Ella Djalili-Thain. Make sure you check her out on TikTok. Like I said, that's where I found her. I found her fascinating and her work fascinating. I will at least have the links for you on our website that's linked to this episode if you want to check out all of that. And we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with ParaTruth Radio. Should we announce at the end?
Might as well. I mean, we got
Okay.
we're going to do a final episode with us, right? That's the plan.
Well, yeah, we've got 2 episodes and the final up. I mean, they're both going to be just us because that guy
Oh, okay.
said he
Oh, yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
make
yeah.
it. So,
Okay. So we got 2 more. Cool.
Yep.
All right. Welcome back to PTR. As always, my name is Eric,
and I'm Justin.
and that is never going to change, I guess. That's just that's who we are. So we just got off the line with Ella, and we talked to her about Qi and her work in Qi and energy. This was one of those conversations that we were really looking forward to. You know, we had come across her TikTok months ago, and we probably spent about a month kind of like looking at her stuff and watching her videos and stuff. And then just like, boom, let's see if we can get her on. And so you reached out, and sure enough, cool. Really fascinating things here about energy and time, space, and all of that. I mean, we already knew that the earth is just manifested with so much different energy, both positive, negative, and everything in between. And that all of life on earth radiates at different frequencies. Even people tend to radiate differently depending on where they're at in their lives, or in their minds or whatever. What is one of your biggest takeaways? Because this is something that you've for a long time have been kind of practicing, learning about and wanting to get deeper into.
Well, I think her advice about the astral projection is we've kind of heard that before, but the way she explained it hit a little bit better home to me. You know, there really is no reason to be afraid of getting lost. The Robert Moore that she mentioned thought he was going to, but he obviously didn't. So I think that's one of the biggest things for me. No matter what you call it, chi, reiki, whatever, energy is energy, like she said. So I've always kind of known that and appreciated that. But the astral projection thing is really what hit home for me.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I think it's, for me, it was mainly her telling us about changing our frequencies, and when it comes to negative things happening, energies, curses, whatever. I mean, as you know, it's been a long time, and as you guys all know, if you've been listening for a while, I haven't had any experiences in terms of sleep paralysis, or any entities within my house. The one entity that was in this house for a long time hasn't been around. And one thing that I noticed is, since I pushed it away again, you know, because I've done it multiple times, I kind of changed my outlook on a lot of things. You know, there are times where when I was depressed, I would become, and this being very open, become bitter, become angry about things, become frustrated. And since then, which was months ago, I've had much more hope, much more positivity looking forward. I haven't been angry. I've been very calm and relaxed, and like, life is life, you know, it just is what it is. And I've kind of been enjoying that, you know, like I realize there are things that people do or say that would normally frustrate me. And now I'm just like, oh, dude, like, you don't have, like, just take that back. Like, leave that. It's not going to affect me. It's not my problem, you know, and I'm good. And that entity has not come back since. And I've thought about this regularly, especially over the last like 5 or 6 weeks. So her kind of stating that was kind of like, I guess, an answer that I was looking for that I didn't know that I was looking for. So that is the one thing that I think is probably stood out the most. Just the knowledge that if you change that frequency, you can get away from some of those negative energies.
So it was a confirmation for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really much more to say on it. I loved talking to her. She was awesome to talk to, as I thought she would be. I mean, how she is on her TikTok videos was exactly how she was with us. Not that your online persona is necessarily who you really are, but a few of us, myself included, I am who I am. I don't change who I am to be on a podcast. I don't change who I am to be on TV or on YouTube or on TikTok. I just talk like I normally am. Do I usually enunciate and pronounce things as much as I do on here? No. I mean, that part is probably a little bit of a personality, if you will, but so it was just fun to talk to her, and especially just because she was a very free spirit, if you will. So, any other final words for you on any of it, either what she talked about or Ella herself?
No. I hope you guys have a great week this week. We'll catch you guys next Sunday, same time. Have a good week, guys.
Later.
Peace.